That sound, I kind of like that sound. Can you imagine if I was singing that song? It would be one of those interesting worlds. But thanks again coming back, Dada. You're on the Russ Meek Speaks show. Mr. Blair, there's your host, trying to find out what you're doing these days in the U.S. and Africa. So tell me, Dada, what is the latest and greatest?
Well, a lot of things are going on in Africa, you know, but we just have to focus on how to rescue Africa, to develop Africa, you know, very well, and make use of our resources for development of Africans in Africa.
Okay. So what can we do to make this happen?
Well, to make it happen is to integrate U.S. trade with African trade. Fair trade. We are talking of fair trade, not to create war, to be stealing the resources in Africa. Africa is the richest continent in the universe.
Okay.
And everybody goes there to create wars so that they can get access to resources. You know, it's happening in Nigeria, it's happening in DRC, it's happening in Sudan, it's happening everywhere. You know, the Sahel group of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, they kick out the French people, their colonial masters. You know, they want to be independent. Those that were independent before, we were independent by wars, you know. We were politically independent, but not economically independent.
Okay.
So right now, the focus is on how to be economically independent.
Mm. So right now, you're doing a project here, trying to bring in millions of companies and technology and information from the U.S. to Africa. And we're trying to use minority firms here to bring them over to Africa to make this work.
Yes, we are representing U.S. commerce, state of Illinois, and friendly African countries to U.S. to use U.S. Exim Bank to, you know, to buy made in United States and finance by working with all U.S. embassies in Africa.
Okay.
Simultaneously, we are working with African manufacturers to create market access for them in United States. What we've been doing for a long time is creating market access for U.S. manufacturers in Africa.
Okay.
To increase trade and investment, U.S. trade and investment in Africa through U.S. Embassy. Because of the U.S. Embassy is because we are spending U.S. Exim Bank to finance every project that we do there. But right now, we're doing the same thing for African manufacturers. Presently, we have goods at the port of Chicago, which they are clearing for 22 African manufacturers.
Okay.
So that we can integrate them to give them access to U.S. market too. Chicago is one of the point of call. You know, if any real company that want to come to United States has to come through Illinois, come through Chicago. Chicago being the headquarters of manufacturing region of United States.
So basically making Chicagoland area the hub.
Is the hub.
Yes.
I mean, you have 7 railways companies that end up in Chicago. Those that are bringing goods from the north, they will exchange goods in Chicago to the south. Those are bringing goods from south, they will exchange here in Chicago. And it is only Chicago that has that kind of opportunity, that kind of resource in United States.
Okay.
So
now, the question is, state of Illinois has been pretty positive about having exports coming to Africa. Also, we have issues with our federal government out of D.C., and our favorite buddy, Mr. Donald Trump, has not been too positive these days.
well, he doesn't care about social program from anybody, for everybody. It's worrisome to Africans in particular because of his reputation for not liking minorities, and blacks in particular. So, but he's interested in business. The way he's interested in business is worrisome too, because the idea is always transactional. Just to go and get it and bring it here. Like in DRC, like in Nigeria, like everywhere. So we just begging him to focus on fair trade.
Okay. So what do you think about the strategy that he has right now, trying to put tariffs on different products coming in? Do you feel it makes sense, or is it just really a tax on the American consumer?
Well, I don't trust it, because at the end of the day, it is the American consumers that will pay for it. Because put the tariff on it, if the people like the products, they will buy it. And the manufacturer or the importer of those products, they will push it to the consumers. So it's just a way of raising more capital for his friends, like Elon Musk, to go to the moon, at the expense of minority, expense of ordinary people.
So you think we'll have a Tesla in every household in Africa?
I doubt that.
Oh, no.
Because it's affordability.
Okay.
I think what the Africans are looking for right now is technology that will make them to survive, not technology of not the latest technology.
Got it.
So the only thing, my worry for him is that he may be there to get selling weapons to Africa and getting minerals from Africa, by force. That's my concern.
Got it. I have a big concern with the U.S. right now, with our position around the world, where we're becoming very, very negative. Used to be, go to America, hey, we'll help get things done, make things work. And right now, I'm not getting that feel.
Well, nobody knows what's going on right now. Until we settle down for about 6 months, 1 year out of 4, if he ever leaves the place, we will not know. We only know what he does. We don't know what he's going to do.
Got it. That's the interesting thing. But right now we have a real issue. We have minority firms here in Illinois, here in the Chicagoland area, that you're setting up to help them to get back to Africa. And right now, you're working on a project that will allow them to get their companies, their products, what they do, and bring it into Africa. And right now you've actually set up a project where Bank BMO is actually helping to do a $40 billion project that can help these companies to bring what they do back to Africa. How's this going to work?
Well, we are very fortunate to be part of that program, because we don't have to use government program to empower minority group. So if being a big, program, we could help every minority in United States, meaning the black minority, which is minority defined as black, as women, as Latino, Hispanic, veteran, LGBTQ, all those people have access to that opportunity, which is as big as a government program. So the question now is that we are trying to reach out to them, let them understand the program, take them to the bank, and facilitate them to have a line of credit without collateral.
Okay.
So that's it. Once they start with, say, minimum of 50,000, or any amount like that, then they can grow it infinitely. They grow the capacity, they will serve us here in the United States, and then they'll be able to do business in Africa at the same time.
Again, this is a huge situation right now. We've had a lot of companies that have felt from Trump's recent actions, they're taking away opportunities. But right now, this is a scenario that's opening up the door again to say, hey, you can do business.
That is exactly what we are doing, now, meaning that the door is not closed.
Right.
The door may be closed on the government side, on Mr. Trump's side, but the door is opened on the private sector.
Okay.
So unless they don't, I will recruit as much. For example, there are about 8 million minority companies out of 27.5 million in the United States. So that's a big opportunity. And about 42% of them don't have access to capital.
Right, it's the biggest entrenchment.
So if Mr. Trump say, hey, I don't want minority anymore, my program is for the majority, then we have people that have already given us access to capital to help minorities. So
it's available.
It's available.
Yeah. So how do they get more information? Do they go to your website, or do they call you, or how do they do it?
Well, we want them to call 773-531-5742. Once we pre-qualify them, then we take them to the bank. We facilitate starting giving them credit, to grow their business. And they will grow that to any level. But they have to start from somewhere.
Okay. So basically, no limitation, call Dada.
Yes.
And you can start the process right now. You can go from there.
Yes, you can go from there. And meanwhile, we are recruiting salespeople to go to each community, Black community, Latino community, veteran community, and just to go and explain to them, bring them to our office, and then when we see they qualify, then we help them to grow their business. And when they grow the business enough, then they can go overseas too. But besides that, Mr. Trump too is interested in Exim Bank.
Okay.
Exim Bank is for the whole world, so which we use for minorities here, as well as for international trade, So there's a whole section in Exim Bank for the minorities.
Got it.
To help minorities. There's a whole section in Exim Bank for Africa. That is doing the same thing like we are doing locally for the minority here too.
Okay. Now, you're doing a lot all around the Chicagoland area. You're in Oak Brook and a few other locations here. So exactly what are you doing with your operations here in the Chicago area?
Well, Chicago area is every day is to look for opportunity for who want to take their technology to Africa.
Okay.
So to create market access for them, so that, and the fear of losing money is out of it, because we have Exim Bank to finance the African buyers here. So once they pay, they prefer to work with us. American banks prefer to work through us. American manufacturers prefer to work through us for market access.
Okay.
Because they know they will be paid before they ship out to Africa. So it's a guarantee program. by federal government.
Yeah, don't have to worrying about getting paid.
Exactly. Alternatively, we have consignment center here in Naperville, whereby we ask African manufacturers to send their products to the consignment center so that it can reach the consumer here faster when they need it.
Okay. So again, right now, this is a huge opportunity from what I'm saying.
Oh, it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a very huge opportunity. And we are very lucky, because being from Naperville, 90% of Naperville inhabitants are business people, are president of corporations or vice president of corporations, this and that. So I belong to the, 5-star chamber called the Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce, which is about 1,500 people, all who are executives and which make policy for U.S. and all sorts of things like that.
Okay. Now, question: how do you market this stuff to let people know what you guys are trying to do?
Well, for the past 25 years, we've been having database. From the time I was the president of Continental African Chamber of Commerce, the chairman board of trustee of Nigerian diaspora from Peru to Canada, So we have been on trade mission, to about 35 African countries, sponsored by SBA.
Okay.
So I have a huge database of more than 15,000, and we send out monthly newsletter, and we continue to go out to every, seminar, every show, and we are very fortunate with Chicago having the largest convention center in the world,
Okay.
McCormick Place. So because of that, they have program every month, which we attend, and we keep increasing our database. So through this monthly newsletter, people get to know us, and most of our previous customers that have succeeded through our program, that I enjoy very well, they bring other people, to our company.
So what's your relationship with our current mayor here in Chicago?
Well, we want to be close to them, to see how far we can bring Africa close to them, as well as to the governor of Illinois, close to them, and that is why we are working on different, community in Chicago, meeting the Adama, other woman, all sorts of things like that,
right,
to see what we can do in their community to integrate U.S. business with Africa and African business with United States.
Now, are you getting any action with the universities around Chicago?
Definitely for sure. Definitely for sure. From my alma mater, UIC, we're getting action from them, Roosevelt University belong to the, the Northwestern. We go to all their events, international events,
Okay.
to see, because each of them have an international program, and we always attend every university's program.
Okay, so that's being done.
Right.
Right. So how do younger people get involved with what you're doing?
Well, see, thank you for that question. We are getting close to, all of us will pass away one day or the other. That is why we are trying to disseminate information and to, teach other people, we try to encourage them, to know how to develop themselves, or how to develop this program, so that we can encourage them to have as much information as possible.
Okay.
So that's it. That is why we created 2 non-for-profit for that kind of issue. We have one called Americas for Africa.
Okay.
Meaning that that one has its mission for, good health delivery, quality education, communication between the 2 continents, this and that, and helping people to prevent dispute among tribes and all sorts of things like that. Then we have African Youth Relief Initiative. African Youth Relief Initiative is about helping minorities, particularly black children, here to develop properly, to be self-sufficient. That has, we have education, training towards entrepreneurship.
Okay.
To those who are in United States, it's about connecting them to opportunities, because there's endless opportunities here. People just don't focus on it sometimes, But to those in Africa that has a lot of the highest youth right now, but it's an ocean of unemployed graduates. So the idea is to connect the universities or colleges there with, like, University of Technology here or other things. Now that we can use the technology, like, to take training, so that they can show them how best to become entrepreneur, to become job creators, not somebody looking for a job.
Right. We're trying to create the jobs.
You have to create the job. You have to create the job so that if you can, employ 1 person, 2 person, you take them out of the market. Because there's no much opportunity in Africa. So, but here, no matter what, every day, people's unemployment here is less than 4%. In some states, 2%.
Right.
I love United States.
Uh-oh.
I love the system, because regardless of what you say, there's always opportunity. But you have to find a way to benefit from the opportunity that exists.
So how would you change it?
How?
How would you change it?
How would I change it?
Or are you saying it would not change?
Well, innovation, you see, the innovation that is coming up, see, one thing is you don't know, there's no end to innovation in the United States. Fortunately, there's no end. Many years ago, if you remember, in the city of Chicago, there are factories along the train lines.
Right.
When we move from Stone Age to agriculture, from agricultural to industrial,
right,
from industrial to software or something. When we come to software or something, that is when all these factories disappear. Knowledge economy.
Right now we've been the hub in the Midwest.
Yes,
where Chicago
is the hub. Chicago controls about 25% of U.S. economy.
Right, and we have generated, especially this used to be the huge cattle hub, where cattle is taken back from east to west and all those things.
And U.S. Steel on the south side.
Yeah, but we've changed the format right now, where the model has changed.
Yes.
And right now we're trying to create education, technology, all the other things. And right now we're seeing a lot of folks coming in from around the world trying to hub through Chicago.
That is true. That's including China, including, so Chicago is very, very important in United States, being the headquarters of the Midwestern region, which is fully agricultural and industrial.
Yeah. My question comes back to you. How will Chicago be that hub for Africa?
Well, that is what we want to do. Because if Africa really wants to develop, they have to make Chicago the hub. They have to make Illinois the hub, because Chicago is the transportation hub, agricultural hub, technology hub, architectural hub, transportation hub. With O'Hare there, and the second airport there, and with 7 trains ending up in Chicago that are exchanging from north to south. Chicago is, if they want to go industrialization, and they want to go agricultural development, which is agri production, agricultural processing, and agricultural preservation, Chicago is the place.
Okay. So right now, you guys are set to utilize Chicago as the hub for Africa. Right now, we have a huge trade to bring companies here in the Chicagoland area, Midwest, to Africa.
Yes.
Right now, they can go through you. You can have them qualified,
yes,
get all the specs they need.
Yes.
And right now, we're just trying to educate them to understand it's available.
Yes.
And if you guys want to grow your business to the nth degree,
yes,
this is the time.
Yes, this is it. We just want that, because there are so much resources at the state of Illinois. There are so much resources at the U.S. Commerce Department. It's just a matter of connecting them. And once they reach us, unfortunately enough, we work with all the U.S. embassies in Africa, because we have to work together, on using American fund to grow their business,
yeah,
and to create market. Market access is very important.
Right.
Market access is important for U.S. manufacturers. Market access is very important for African manufacturers, yeah, too.
And right now, I'm not saying you have to be a minority firm. You could be a company, any company. But we just want to bring your technology to Africa.
Yes.
And basically, we have money that's being provided,
yes,
and we can help this to happen, and you can grow your company to the nth degree.
That is exactly true. We have unlimited access on the government side, which is Exim Bank, which is subsidiary of U.S. Treasury, and we have substantial capital from private sector, from the bank in the United States, which has nothing to do with government,
okay, to
build the community here. So as a result of that, we cover everything. So it's a matter of getting people that are ready to develop themselves, and that particularly on the black community, we have a program called the Diaspora Program.
Okay.
The Diaspora Program are 2 issues. According to African Union, any black person around the world is a diaspora in Africa. The second one is African immigrants. It's another diaspora. Those who left Africa to come and study here, and those who came, many years ago, not by their own willingness, but they forced them to come. So we are ready to, have a real program, so that we can help those who care to go to Africa, and those Africans that are here, to give them capacity. Because if you don't have capacity, you cannot help anybody.
Right.
So
you have to be able to help yourself.
You have to be able to help yourself before you help anybody.
Right.
So that's what we are doing. We have access to capital from government. We have access to capital from private sector. But we are looking for those who want to help themselves.
So what's the #1 spot? We go back to Africa right now. Which country is really looking to take the majority of this new technologies? Is there any one source that's pulling more than others? Is it Nigeria? Is it Ghana? Is it someplace like that?
Well, Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa. And I'm fortunate to come from Nigeria.
Okay.
So our pilot program is on Nigeria. At the same time, like I said, I've been to about 35 African countries. We are ready for anybody from any African country, but most of our effort is on Nigeria. right now, because they have a 1 billion program for Africa, for Nigeria alone, from Exim Bank, from the government, So as a result of that, we are working on Nigeria. That does not mean we cannot go to Ghana. That does not mean we cannot go to Tanzania or Kenya, because we have been to all those places, Kinshasa, like I said, I've been to about 35 African countries on behalf of State of Illinois and U.S. Commerce Department.
Because one of the big issues I have is Ghana is running around trying to do a lot of different things, and there's opportunities there.
Oh, there's opportunity in every African country, just like opportunity in every state in the United States. It's just a matter of sitting down and determining how will I create a niche for myself. Like I'm using my experience working as a banker in Nigeria before, and ever since be president of African Chamber of Commerce, and being IT specialist, being international trade specialist, being international development program specialist. I believe I enjoy what I'm doing, and I want to pass it to as many young people that are ready to learn.
Got it. Now, have you done any work over in the Congo?
No.
Okay,
I've tried to do things in Congo, in actual fact. Unfortunately, the guy we met there is not a man of integrity. I helped him to secure big money from LaSalle Street here, and he misbehaved, and I took him to court, and I won on LaSalle Street.
Got it.
Yeah, so as a result of which, it was very depressing, that it wasn't right.
Because right now we have Africa on the list of being one of the fastest growing continents on the planet right now, with the resources that are there. You guys have the sun that's always there for energy. We have the land that's there. And we have right now China that's trying to dive into Africa. They're looking to take up as much as they can. So is this a good or bad thing?
Well, there are two ways to look at it. Africa has depended on Europe and America for as long as I live, which is more than 60, 70 years. But they refuse to give us opportunity to develop.
Okay.
Then China came to the United States and learned how to behave in Africa. And they believe that they can make more money in Africa than they can make in the United States. So they choose to go there, and take advantage. I happen to be part of the delegation to South Africa with U.S. Exim Bank, about 7 African presidents. This same question came out to say, hey, China is taking, they say, well, we have been with you for life. You didn't develop us, but if they came and they want to help us, we cannot say no.
Right, we're going to take it.
They will take it. That's where, and the Chinese have come up with opportunity to be acceptable to Africans, meaning that they created what they call low quality, low price. Because we live in the highest cost of living country in the world, United States, we have high quality, high price in United States. Mm-hmm. So we unless somebody that is looking for premium and that understand, that if you buy China, you will buy 3 times before you meet the quality of United States. Mm. We say buy China, buy 3 times.
Okay.
You understand? But to Africans, they say, hey, will you do my thing? Okay, let me just buy this cheap one first to begin my business. Mm. So if you can run me for 10 years, 5 years, I'm good.
It's done.
It's done.
And right now, China's been going and developing railroads in different places around Africa. And right now, they say that, look, we'll dig it up. You don't have to worry about the cost. All the minerals that we find, though, we keep, but we're developing these railroads for you guys to have transportation systems within Africa. Is this positive or negative?
It depends on it depends who is representing Africa. Anything you get is better than nothing to begin with.
Okay. So we need the transportation.
Anything, if you get something, is better than nothing.
Right.
You know? So they are going around to give us, I pray it's not enslaving Africans again. Because if you cannot service your loan, then they take control of the management.
Right.
And they enslave you in your own country, you know, and they suck all the minerals out of the country to repay, you know. But that is only possible if the African politicians in that particular country allow them to get away with it. Because they themselves, too, corruption is there, whereby they allow it. So when you look at the thing to say, is it fair or not fair? Well, it's fair if you get something out of it. Unlike the British, the Americans, that didn't qualify you for anything.
Hey, this is crazy stuff. I mean, one of my biggest problems right now that I have with students, I teach a few of the corporate classes, and we look at relationships. One interesting thing, looking at the Congo again, they have natural resources in the Congo that one of our major corporations utilizes and could not produce their product if they did not get this material from the Congo. It's Apple Computer. Apple Computer could not make their cell phones without materials that are taken from the land in the Congo to actually make these computers or these phones work. And right now, they're not paying for this material, and I forgot the terminology of the material, but it's something that I think they owe back to Africa and the Congo. What's your opinion?
Well, unfortunately, DRC is a problem to the world. It's surrounded by about 9 countries of Africa. And all of them are stealing from DRC, you know, tantalite. You are talking of tantalite.
Yes.
You know, but the problem of Congo is the Congolese themselves are not honest to themselves. If they are honest to themselves, this problem could have been resolved, you know. Then you have Rwanda, it's on the news every day, shipping out, working with the Western world, you know. Uganda is there, you know, Zambia is there. You know, all of them are there shipping, you know, and the Israelis, you know, they go with private jet. And the Chinese sign big contracts that they will be building their infrastructure using the minerals to pay, trade by barter, you know. So as a result of which, but you find the DRC people themselves that they are still in their own something. They cannot agree on anything. That is the problem. You know, South Africans are coming there, you know, everybody's going there, you know, to steal, you know, and they themselves, you know, they are stealing, they're proud of themselves. Even the United Nations that is, you know, a train that is trying to mediate the fight, they are shipping good out every day.
But again, I just understand, this seems to be wrong. We have natural resources and minerals that are coming in from Africa that should be compensated for what they have. And right now, the world doesn't care if it's being taken away from them and they're not compensated. So how can we make this change? Or do we change the world?
They do that in every African country. It's not just in Congo. There's a report that about 35 billion of gold is traded in United Arab Emirates annually. illegally shipped out of Africa. Because that is what the West wants. The West doesn't want to pay for everything. They don't want to pay for nothing. That is the fear for Mr. Trump. Because I hope it doesn't belong to that group of leadership.
Yeah.
Who want to get the minerals without paying for anything.
And America is also taking a huge amount of minerals from Africa.
Definitely, for sure. I mean, the largest share is coming to United States through the third party. They will say they are not part of it, but they sponsor other people, to bring it to them.
So how do I tell my child that the U.S. has raped Africa for many, many years? Starting with taking people from Africa to be slaves here in America, and now taking their resources and natural items and not compensating them for the resources they have.
That is why we all have to work together. That is why we are working on diaspora program, so that the African Americans in United States should work with African countries over there to build fair trade. We don't even have the technology to dig the minerals. They have the AWAC. United States have the AWAC. Mm-hmm. They've mapped out all the minerals from Gambia to South Africa through Atlantic Ocean. They know what is down there. We don't know it. Africans don't know it. Mm. So by so doing, but if we can work together, then the question will be to raise technology and capital from here, and base it on fair trade, which will be beneficial to both us in the United States as well to Africans in Africa. Hopefully we can minimize the corruption of our leaders in Africa too, because it takes two to tango.
Yeah. One question I had a debate on with colleagues, we were talking about Nigeria, and Nigeria was a huge oil producer right now, and we said, well, what happened there? Well, there are some issues right now with the legality of what was not being done properly. So a lot of people were sent to jail or in different contracts that were given illegally. And how could this continue to happen?
Well, before you go to Africa from United States to do business, you sign a contract with federal government of United States that you will not bribe anybody under corrupt practices, which Mr. Trump has eliminated in the last 1 month.
Okay.
I don't know if he wants the Americans to be bribing all over the world. They say that is why American business people cannot work so much in Africa. As far as to Nigeria, you mentioned on oil and gas, many of these executives have gone to jail in Texas for bribing people in Nigeria, oil and gas, for your information. So the question right now is, we Africans, Nigerians, must love ourselves and don't collude with them, to steal our products. So many oil of Nigeria have been found in Philadelphia, unpaid for. You understand? So this comes out every day, and that is why life is going down in Nigeria because of this corruption and all sorts of things like that. Mm. So, but the question is, both sides, both United States as well as Nigerian government, must be willing, to minimize corruption.
So how can we make this change?
It's a tough thing, because if you remember one thing, it's just like, how do you minimize drug in United States? When fentanyl is coming in from Mexico, from everywhere, as I was talking about, and there's market.
People are
as
buying.
long as people are buying it on the street. So, and in the state of Illinois here, people have been passing envelopes to one another. The politicians, as long as somebody that will take the bribe from you, we just have to continue to be on the lookout. It's difficult. It's difficult. I'll be very honest with you. It is difficult.
So are we making it positive for the project you're working on right now with the $40 billion that's being offered through BMO to get minority firms to go to Africa? Is this a repayment, or is this pretty much trying to make things on an equal basis?
Well, the BMO is for local business, to give them capacity to be able to grow, locally. If they grow locally, if they are interested in international business, that will be very helpful. But without that one, like I said, there's Exim Bank, which is U.S. government, that is for everybody, which is in the same line with BMO, So the question now, the difference is that the Exim Bank has to come from Africa, It has to be extended to Africans in Africa, where the BMO is to be extended to only people in the United States.
Okay. Yeah.
But both of them are for capacity building.
Are we saying once this is done, what are we hoping will change between the U.S. or Chicago, Illinois, and Africa? Are we just going to say we're going to have a better relationship right now, more trade going back and forth, and then the technology we're providing to you guys, you'll come back with us as resources, or what's going to be the end run?
What we look for is to increase U.S. trade and investment in Africa and in Nigeria. But the most important thing is for businesses to have capacity to develop in United States, for the African business to develop in Africa, and before they look out to say, I want to go to Africa or I want to go to United States. Now, if you have strong people that are ready to do business with one another, then we go to fair trade, whereby everybody will benefit from the opportunity, and get living wage income.
Got it. Now, if you're looking at the rest of the world, let's take Europe right now. Are there certain companies or countries in Europe that actually are more preferred to do business with Africa than others?
Oh, well, you see, Europe, with the hope of Africa, is United States. Because the Europeans divided Africa into 54 African countries in the past, and they've underdeveloped Africa all these years. If they've underdeveloped Africa all these years, there's no hope from from Europe to Africa.
Okay.
But, based on my own analysis. And I've always believed that the hope for Africa must be from United States. And the only reason it was from United States before is because of anti-corrupt act that we were operating before. But now that Mr. Trump has removed it from the book, I don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know the next step. It's not an easy deal.
It's not a good thing.
How does Canada?
Even though it discourages Americans from going abroad or going to Africa in the past, because they believe Africans are corrupt, and that you cannot do anything without bribery, all kind of things like that, which is the premises for Mr. Trump to remove anti-corrupt practices.
Okay.
But we suppose, the Africans supposed to have good faith themselves, not to be willing to bribe, anybody. So.
How's the relationship with Canada?
Canada is good, but it's Canada with Africa, you mean?
Right.
Where the only thing is that Canada takes more Africans, you know.
You can come across the border and come to Canada.
I mean, because they are always in need of population, you know, to work. So many Nigerians and many Africans have gone to Canada as opposed to coming to United States.
Right.
So Canada is a very good place.
It's cold.
For Africans. Now, that is the problem. It is only about 100 miles from the
border there.
From here that is livable.
Right.
There is just a large iceberg.
Right. it's going to Alaska.
So they have land size that is not habitable.
Right.
So majority of people that go to Canada, they come and work in United States.
Right.
They become citizens of Canada or residents of Canada, but they are working in United States.
I do a lot of folks that do that. Now, what's the scoop with Mexico?
Mexico, unfortunately, you don't have many Africans thinking about Mexico.
Why not?
Well, I don't know, probably because of language issue, you know, and because Mexico, the standard of living in Mexico until recently is just the same part with Africa, you know.
Okay.
You know. So as a result of which, they don't consider Mexico. They only consider Mexico as, routes to America, you know, transit village to get to United States. You know, sometimes some people are lucky; they are able to make it to United States. When they are not able to make it to United States, they make Mexico.
It's okay, I can get it to Mexico. At least I get it to the door.
So Canada is much more preferable,
right,
if you can get to United States.
Canada's just like going to England. So hey,
exactly.
You got that format here, you get your citizenship, hey, so you pretty much open to England.
Exactly.
Now the question is, looking at South America, has South America ever been any ideas for Africans to try to get over to South America?
Well, there are many Africans in South America, but not as many as in Europe. I mean, because you have Europe first, you know, then Canada. I mean, United States, every African's number one goal is to go to United States.
Okay, that's the ultimate goal.
Yes. Where they cannot do that, Europe. When they cannot do that, Canada, you know. Anywhere else, like Australia, you know, or other places, then they can try.
We try it, but hey, that's not the ideal.
It's not ideal.
Now, we've gone through a lot of time, sir. We don't have any more time left, really. But the real thing, the purpose of today was to let people know that we have a program right now that's available through you and your organization that can help business owners here in the U.S., in Illinois primarily, to come to Africa and get their organizations, get their product and things into Africa. And right now, we can come through you to make this happen.
Yes, okay. Yes. Any Illinois company, any U.S. company, any minority company that wants to go to Africa to trade, they can reach out to 773-531-5742. If necessary, we direct them to the appropriate place in the state of Illinois, in the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, in the U.S. Commerce Department, you know, so that they can get more information if they want more than what they can get from us.
Got it.
So, but we will help them. We've been doing this for about 25 years, you know, to Africa from here. So, and we have started doing it for African companies that want to come to United States too, so that they can expand, you know. Because the purpose of doing this in United States is for the U.S. manufacturer to be able to maintain the staff strength or employ more. Because the market for what we produce in United States, 95% of the market for what we produce in United States is outside United States.
Okay.
So there must be market. If you have nowhere to sell your product, there's no need producing anything.
Right. And that's the bottom line. We're trying to expand right
Yes,
now. You got Dada here that's giving the opportunity. Say, look, the door has been opened. He's given the number. Call it up. Get this done. And right now you have the opportunity, a $40 billion option that's been put on the table for minority firms who want to do business in Africa. It's an option right now. You can't say that it was not an opportunity on the table.
Yes, there's opportunity, So if you cannot access government program, then they should be able to access private sector program, which has nothing to do with government.
Okay.
Which they have, contributed to help communities and help minorities.
Now, question, are you guys going to allow Donald Trump to retire in Africa?
That is beyond my control.
Oh, no.
Fortunately enough, one of our daughters married a Nigerian.
Okay.
So, and the wedding was done in Canada, in a Florida house there, with Nigerian priests and Nigerian everything. so it's our in-law.
Well, I'm just trying to say, we got to find a place for Trump. Once he's done here in the U.S., hey, I can see it now. Nigeria, I can see it now. It'll be the Trump Towers in Nigeria.
Well, anything is possible. When it comes to Mr. Trump, anything is possible.
Looking for